Hello, everyone. My name is Kimberly. That's Kimberly with Lee. I want to tell you about the first time I went to Argentina and the culture, the immense culture shock that I experienced there. The first time I went to Argentina was in 1992. And because I'm from Utah, I grew up Mormon, LDS, in the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. So I decided to go on a mission and a mission trip for my church. And they assigned me to be in the Buenos Aires West mission. So we came with a large group. Our group was the first group of missionaries to arrive to that mission. There were about 20 something of us. It was a long trip from the U.S., from Salt Lake City to Los Angeles with an overnight, and then maybe we stopped through Miami. I can't remember exactly the route, but I just remember the trip was like 24 hours long just to get to Argentina back in the 90s. And I was so exhausted and nervous. It was my first time abroad. And, we had learned Spanish intensively for 2 months, but nothing can really prepare you for actually going to a country and being thrown into the immersion. So anyway, I thought I'd be able to stay in a hotel for the first night. Boy, was I wrong. They put me right on a bus and said, you need to get off at the second to the last stop. And I'm thinking to myself, how in the heck am I even going to ask that in Spanish? I don't even know how to say that in Spanish. That's super, super nervous and anxious. But somehow I made it, okay? And then I got off on the right stop. It was late at night. My missionary companion, who was another American, was waiting for me there at the bus stop. And there was one little, whoops, sorry about that. And there was one little car that looked like it was from Cuba there, an old-fashioned car. I landed in this place called General Villamonte, which is actually the birthplace of Eva Perón, which they call in Argentina, they call her Evita. So that's the first place I went to. And then we went to our apartment, and I looked at this, and it was just not very nice. And the key wouldn't work, and we had to go through the window to get in. And I'm just thinking, oh my gosh, how am I going to survive here? But that wasn't all. I arrived on like July 1st in Argentina. During that time, it's like the coldest time of the year. And I wasn't really prepared. I hadn't brought a proper coat because I thought South America is hot. No, boy, was I wrong. So that first night, I looked at the bathroom. The bathroom had this like plug-in thing, and I was like, to heat up the water. And I'm like, I'm going to get electrocuted. And yes, I did get electrocuted a few times. That was not a safe system. And then I went to go to bed. It was so cold. I've never been so cold in my life. Not only that, I'd never experienced humidity. So it was cold, but humid, and that kind of humidity bites right through to your bones. So I went to go lay down, and I'm like, I'm cold. So I get in my sleeping bag. Luckily, I brought a sleeping bag. And then, I'm still cold. So I put on some more clothes. Little by little, I put on all the freaking clothes in my suitcase. And I was still cold. So then at that point, I put on a hat, I put on a scarf, and some gloves. And I was still cold, but a little bit more comfortable, but, all bundled up like an Eskimo. Anyway, that was my first night in Argentina. The next day, my missionary companion, who was also another American, but she knew a lot more Spanish and was much more acculturated to the country than I was, obviously. She says, what do you want to eat? And I said, let's just go to McDonald's. And she's like, She's laughing and she's like, there's no McDonald's here. Let's go to the store. Okay, so let's go to the store and you can pick out what you want. But I kid you not, there was nothing that I recognized as food. I didn't know what anything was called. I didn't know what anything was. And I'm like, you just pick out what you think we should eat because I don't recognize anything as being familiar. And then I remember we bought some milk and we bought some yogurt, and they come in these little like sacks or like little bags, and you have to actually put them inside a plastic thing so they don't pour out, so they don't spill out on the floor. I kept forgetting time after time. I was so stressed out and I was so overwhelmed by the culture shock of everything being just so foreign to me that I wouldn't put it in there. It would just spill, and my companion would get mad at me. And then, and then there were times when I couldn't even understand the people, but I studied Spanish so hard, and I thought, okay, this time they're going to understand me. This time they're going to understand me. And so one time I was trying to teach the locals one of the missionary discussions, and I thought, this time they're going to understand me. But no, they looked to my companion and they said, what did she just say? And I understood that. And at that point, I just broke down and bawled. So that was my first stint of having culture shock in Argentina. So stick with me and you'll hear how this story evolves. Thank you for subscribing.